Start then. Hello, can everyone hear me? Good morning, distinguished senior colleagues and colleagues. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, very audible.
Okay,
Please
thank
continue.
you. All right, so we apologize for the late start. Well, welcome again to another session of the YOF webinar. And today, we still have Dr. Chima Edoga, who will be taking today's session. So today's session is a continuation of the last 2 weeks meeting, and then we've been previously discussing the smartphone fundoscopy and its role, how we can go about it, the technique. So today's session is going to be a practical session. Dr. Edoga, who has done a lot of work on smartphone fundoscopy, would show us how we can go about using smartphone as a means of binocular or in a form of indirect ophthalmoscopy in our clinics. So without wasting much time, Dr. Chima Edoga, you can take the floor.
All right, thank you very much. On my camera. Okay, all right, so I'm going to share my screen now. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, is it a full or is it full screen?
It's full screen.
Okay, all right.
It's full.
Okay, so all right, thank you. So we handled these portions of the presentation. I talked about the principles and then the lenses and the adapters, and talked about the mobile applications. So I will just add a little note on the mobile applications, on the uses, and on the safety. Then I'll go into the demo. For the demo, I'm going to connect my iPhone to the Zoom, and I'll be working from the iPhone so that we'll be seeing it on the Zoom. I was supposed to get a patient and do this live demonstration, but the patient could not make it. So I'm going to use some videos that I got a few days ago from the different techniques, from the free technique, and then I used different mobile applications. So we are going to get that. For number 8, I think it's a broad topic, and I may not delve into it in part 11 and 12. Sorry, can you still hear me? My internet seems to be unstable. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, all right. So I'll just quickly move to mobile applications. These are the mobile applications that have been recorded to be used in smartphone fundus photography. The most common one is Filmic Pro, which has a monthly subscription of around 7,500 naira. So it's quite high, for someone to be paying that amount of money on a monthly basis. But that's the one I've used. When I got Filmic Pro, it was not this expensive. It was a recent upgrade, and then I made it to be expensive. So I'm going to be talking more on Human Indirect. So Human Indirect has a lot of features, which I'm going to talk about in the live demonstration. And it was developed by Dr. Michael Ullman, who is a US-based ophthalmologist, but he developed it during his residency. And the cost of this app on the App Store on the iOS is about $4. So if you convert it to Naira, it's roughly about 5,000, 6,000 naira. So I think it's something that is affordable and is one of, you don't need to pay for it again and again and again. And the good thing about this app is that it was first produced sometime in 2017, but the producer has updated it. So he has a recent 2024 edition. Then Hope Scope is another one by an Indian doctor, Dr. Biju Raju. So we can just take note of that. I may show us a clip on my iPhone when I'm doing the live demo. Then for the fourth one is M2 Red Campro by Dr. Ashish Sharma. He's also an Indian-based ophthalmologist. So this B2D we actually produced by ophthalmologists to buttress the fact that ophthalmologists can actually venture into app development. Hopefully we in Nigeria, we can develop our own app building on what we have learned from these three apps, because each of them, they have their strong points, they have their weak points. So if we can combine all the strong points of these apps and eliminate the weak points, we can have our own very own app that we can launch in Nigeria. Then for the other one, Cinema LV5, it has also been used. Then Pro Camera has also been used. So Woman Indirect, Hoposcope, and M2 Red are both in iOS, that's for iPhones, and for Android. So this is the icon for Woman Indirect. So in terms of the uses, it can be used for adults, can be used for children, even in preterm infants. I've used it for screening of several cases. I showed us a picture previously in the part 1 of the presentation. It can also be used in diagnosis of optic nerve diseases in ophthalmology and also in neurosurgery. There has been a study that was one of the best studies in West Africa in neurosurgery. So the doctor in question consulted me and I assisted him to get the device that he used. He used a PIC. A PIC is one of the adapters that you can clip on. It's a clip-on adapter to a phone. He used it just to image the optic nerve head in neuroophthalmic cases, and it was a wonderful study. So we can use it for that purpose. Then for patients who are unable to sit up, the typical fundus camera systems, you have to sit up to be able to put your head in the fundus camera and take it. So if a patient is on the bed and cannot sit up, so you need a device that is portable. So it's either you use a portable fundus camera or smartphone fundoscopy will come into place. Then it has come, during sometimes when I'm on call and I'm asked to do examine a patient and do a fundoscopy. So for instance, maybe cancer patients that are so sick that they cannot even sit up. With smartphone fundus photography, we can actually image the retina and image some of the signs of cancer retinopathy. Then the other one is to record special posterior segment findings like asteroid hyalosis, spontaneous optic disc venous pulsations. I'm going to show us one that I recorded 2 days ago. Then with some filters, it has been used for fluorescent fundus photography. And lastly, it has also been used in teaching, both for medical students and also in teaching patients. I'll show you a video clip of where I was teaching a patient after taking the image of the retina. I found out that if a patient sees the image of the retina and you explain some of the findings, they are more likely to take up care. So either you show it on the screen of the phone, or you can connect the phone to an external display where you can actually use a more larger display to explain to the patient or maybe the patient relative. And then it can also be transmitted for teleophthalmology. So these are the uses of smartphone photography. So this was an image that was captured by Dr. Raji that I talked about. So you can see with a smartphone with a timer. I didn't capture the timer. You can actually see some of the changes in this neovascular branch, inferior branch retinal vein occlusion in the left eye. In terms of the safety, a lot of changes usually happen to smartphones. Most commonly, advancements in the technology of smartphones. If we remember, smartphones usually, when they started with the camera system, they started with one flash and one camera. Then over time, we now started having multiple flashes, or even if you have one flash, it may be dual LED, maybe xenon. So most of the studies that have used smartphone for this photography have used either a single light emitting diode or a dual light emitting diode. In my own study, I used iPhone 6s. iPhone 6s has a dual flashlight system. One is white, the other one is yellow, and it has just one camera system. Unlike some of the more recent iPhones that have xenon flash, and then they have multiple camera systems. So the camera systems, we need to note it when we want to start smartphone from this photography. The higher if it is xenon and not LED, it is going to cause greater irradiance to the retina, unlike if it is a light emitting diode LED. Then in terms of the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, it has ISO 15004-2.2. Tries to set the safety limits for irradiance from ophthalmic equipment. So for this particular smartphone in 2012, Kim et al. Used iPhone 4 and did an experiment and exposed the retina for about 1 minute and found out that the retina irradiance was 150 times below the limit for thermal damage and 240 times below the limit for photochemical damage. These are things that are happening in the retina, thermal or photochemical damage. Then in 2016, Hong and his colleagues used iPhone 6 to check for safety, and they discovered that it was one order of magnitude below the safety limit for ISO. So the ISO safety limit, we have when the retinal irradiance is more than 706 watts per centimeter square, that is where you have retinal damage. When it is on an area of diameter of about 1.7, so an area of around the diameter of the optic disc. So if you check this reading of Kim got very, very low reading, so it's actually very safe. So I'm going to move over to the practical demonstrations. Okay, so this image was the image that I discussed last week of a retina of an ROP patient with a stage 2 aggressive disease. Sorry, a zone 2 aggressive disease, stage 3. All right, so I'm just going to go to okay. All right, so I will stop sharing my screen now, and I will share my iPhone screen. Just a minute. So when you start seeing my iPhone screen, just let me know. Just a minute. Okay, while the plugin for the iPhone is installing, I actually installed it before this lecture, so it will just take a little while. So in terms of the tips and tricks, so the first thing that you need to consider in smartphone photography, okay, is on now. It's on now. So I'm going to connect to my iPhone. Okay. So can you see my iPhone screen now?
Yes, we can.
Zoom
Okay.
there.
All right. All right. Okay. So this is my screen, my home screen. So if you look on the second row, you see the woman indirect app. Then
Yes, to
if
the
you
right.
also, yes, if you look at the third row, you see the Filmic Pro app on the left. Then when I move to the third screen, you see the eye chart. The eye chart is actually also produced by the woman Michael Ullman. So I will just look at some of the videos that I captured using Ullman indirect. So I will look at free technique, which I just use the phone and a lens. So that's a free technique. And then I will show us the fixed technique where you use an adapter. So what I use is an adapter that is defunct. It's no longer in being is no longer being manufactured because the producers have gone out of the market. So, but prior to the time that they went out of market, I bought one, and they also gave me complimentary copies, which I've shared to some of our centers. All right, so this these videos we are taking on Thursday. So you could see a free technique. So the lens is in front of the eye and my hands are steady. But the challenge I'm having in this technique is that I'm unable to regulate the exposure. So by exposure, I mean how bright the image is. The higher the exposure, the brighter the image. The lower the exposure, the lesser the brightness. So you don't need too much exposure. You don't need too less of exposure, especially when you want to image the optic disc. Just a minute. Don't need too much exposure. So if you look at this image, so I'm going to zoom it a little bit now. So the optic disc is overexposed, and this is what you usually get when you are doing free technique, because most native camera apps cannot handle exposure. Is automatic, and when it is automatic, it is self-regulating. So it will not know what you intend per time. So it's very important that we need to use applications that know what we want by the settings that we will give it. So I'll just go back and show us how I was struggling to image the retina in this patient. Okay, so this was the video. Okay, no, this is Filmic Pro, right? Okay, so I'm going to show us the video of human indirect. So before I show the video, I'll just show us how human indirect is. So this is human indirect. This is the home screen. So when you look at the left side of the screen, you see rotate 180 degrees. So this is if the patient is sitting in front of you and you're doing the examination while the patient is in front of you. But if the patient is lying down, you don't need to click the 180 degrees. Then on the left side, you see the autofocus. So there's a box for the autofocus. So if you check this box, the app will be automatically changing the focus according to what is on the screen. Then the auto exposure, the app will be automatically changing the exposure according to what is on the screen. But when you want manual control, you will now leave the boxes unchecked. So on the right side, you see the manual control for focus, you see the manual control for exposure, and then you see the manual control for light. One good thing about iPhone is that iPhone, you can regulate the brightness of the light from it has a 4-step lighting. So I'm going to get a paper so we can appreciate it. So the iPhone is shining on a paper. You see that the light is very bright. So I can lower the light. So now the light is at the bottom. So this is the first step, which is level 1. This is level 2. This is level 3, and this is level 4. So if a patient has dense cataracts, you want more illumination, you can illuminate the retina with this highest level. But I find that it's better at the mid level or at level 1. So level 1, level 2 are appropriate because you want a balance between well illuminated retina and not overly illuminated retina for the patient to be uncomfortable. All right. So this exposure now, this image is overexposed. So if I just bring down the exposure of this image, you see that you are more likely to appreciate the book, but the book is out of focus. So I'll now focus. I'll adjust the focus, and then it's now becoming into focus. So I'll just use a print to show. So the print is showing. So if I adjust it, it's out of focus. If I focus it, it's in focus. So we can use one hand and adjust the focus, adjust the exposure, and adjust the light. So the first thing that you do when you come to this app is to zoom. So you zoom. The aim of zooming it is so that the edges of the camera, of the lens, will feel the edges of the phone. That's the left side of the phone and the right side of the phone. The idea is so that you don't capture video of a lot of irrelevant things. You are more interested in the area image that is produced between the lens and the phone. So you're not interested in the patient's face or on the bed or the couch that you are using. You are more interested in the image. So the reason that you zoom in as the first step is so that you be able to concentrate on just that image. Then after zooming in, then you now put the light, because the light comes on automatically. You adjust the light. So I'm going to leave this place. Or before I leave, you will see that there's a slit lamp mode. Slit lamp mode is if you have an adapter that couples this iPhone or any phone to the eyepiece of the slit lamp. So once you press the slit lamp now, the light will go off. So if I press slit lamp, the lights will go off. So we are now using the natural light of the slit lamp. So the slit lamp has its own light. So you don't need an external light from the iPhone. That's why it goes off. So when you want to go back to indirect mode, you just click on the indirect mode and the light comes on. But the slit lamp mode is autofocus because you are not there to be holding the phone while you are taking the image of the retina using street lamp, because you are moving the joystick with one hand, and then with the other hand you are holding the lens, either a 78D or 90D, as the case may be. All right. So then lastly, you can have a right hand technique or a left hand technique. I'm right-handed, and if I click right hand now, the features that I need move to the right, move to the left, but I find it counter-intuitive. So if you're right-handed, it's better that the settings, the manual settings, are on your right side, so that when you're holding the lens, the phone with your one hand, you can use your thumb and quickly adjust the settings on the phone directly. All right, so I'm going to show us an image that I captured, or a video that I captured, sorry, of a patient on Thursday. Okay, so let's just watch. So we can see that the lens has been zoomed in, and the edges of the lens are okay. You see what happened now when I adjusted the focus? The retina is in place. So I'm using an adapter for this. So I'm going to, sorry, I seem to be having challenge with network. Can you see the video clearly, or is it breaking?
We can see it.
All right. Okay, so I'm asking the patient to move the eye so that you can image the temporal side of the optic disc, temporal side of the macula, and then the nasal side of the optic disc. So you can make movements so that you can have a wider field of view within the time. So this is the right eye of this patient. So I'm bringing the lens close to the eye until the image of the retina fills the phone. And then I hold it there, and then I begin to change the settings, exposure and focus. So you can see, and I'm taking a video. You can see the video is on. So as you're taking this video and you're trying to focus it, you may not get the best per time. But at the end of the procedure, you have a video that you can look at, go through it, and then you take screenshots from the video. So you can see I've taken a very good image or video of this retina, and then I'm adjusting the focus. You can see the focus knob changing, and as it changes, the image gets blurred or it gets brighter. When I'm comfortable with the focus, I leave it there. I just adjust the lens a little bit, front or back. I'm using a Pan Retina 2.2 lens that I talked about in the first lecture, because I discovered that it's better than plus 20D lens. So it gives you similar magnification of plus 20D and a field of view of plus 28. So it's a lens I recommend if you want to go into smartphone from those photography. But if you don't have it, you can also use plus 20 diopter lens. That will be fine. So okay, so I've stopped the recording of the phone. All right, so I will just show us the images or the video that I captured, so that I will explain to us. So I'm going to pause it, and then, so with iPhone you can pause. Okay, you can pause. Okay, let me take okay, so if you pause an iPhone, you can slide it from left to right, so that you select the best frame. So I paused the video, and then I'm sliding. So let me go back there again. Sorry, so you can follow. So I'll slide. So I'm sliding. You are seeing it. So I'm sliding. So if I get to a place that has a very good picture, I will stop and then I'll take a screenshot. And the good thing about this technique is that you could go frame by frame. When you take videos are usually recorded in frame per second. So when you see a video that is recorded at 20 frames per second or 25 frames per second, it means that this image has 20 frames in every second. So that means you can actually get 20 frames from that second of video. But an iPhone may not give you, it will record in 30 frames per second. It can record in 60. More recent iPhones can record in 120. So, but for you to leverage on those frames per second, you need an external application like a VLC player, which I'm going to show us after I'm done with the iPhone. Okay, so we have this. So if I continue to slide, so if I'm happy with this, I take a screenshot. And to take a screenshot with an iPhone, for older models of iPhone, you combine the center button with the power button. So I'll just do it now. I'll click on the screen and then. So I've taken a screenshot. So the screenshot will store. So I will show us the screenshots I took. So you could see how beautiful this image is. And sorry, I'm receiving a call. And you could see that this particular image has nasal side of the retina. You can see the macula with what is happening in the macula, and then you can see just temporal to the macula. So if I zoom in so that we can appreciate it, you could see the optic disc. You can see that the optic disc is not overexposed because you can see the cup separate from the rim, right? Then you can see the macular area. You can see the exudates on the macula. You can see hemorrhages. Then you can also see hemorrhage there. You can see a hemorrhage in the middle. So you can see a lot of where I captured more temporal to the optic, to the macula. You can see these hemorrhages here. Temporal to the macula. You can also see it's inferior to the fovea area. So this is a screenshot, and this screenshot is high quality. So if I put, for you to see the settings, is 1.9 megabytes, and the resolution is 750 by 1334. So it's quite high. And one thing you need to understand by a high resolution image is that when you zoom it, it will not pixelate. If you look closely, you can see that there are two white lights, and there is also another light that is purple below the fovea. That light is from the light in the room. So for you to have a good fundus photography, you need to be in a dark room so that you don't have external lights. If you move down a little bit, you can see another purple light. So the light from the iPhone is usually white, small circle white light. And this light is from the flash of the iPhone. But when you have reflections from the light in the room, it usually takes on different colors, usually more colorful than the light of the iPhone. So if I go to the next picture now, this is another picture because I was telling the patient to move. So this is an optically centered fundus photo taken by a smartphone. So you could see we captured more nasally to the disc. So if I zoom in, and you can see that there is a cotton wool spot at the edges, at the rim of the lens. And you can see the exudates that are on this. You can see the hemorrhage that is just nasal to one of the branches of the inferior ophthalmic artery, ophthalmic vein, sorry. So you can actually get quite beautiful images here. So I went further nasal, so you could see more pictures are coming up. So you can see this flame, this flame hemorrhage there, and then you can see other hemorrhages. So this is a zoomed picture of the optic nerve. Assuming you are interested in the optic nerve, so you can see that you can make out this optic disc, optic nerve head very well. You can see that the nasal side of the optic disc is absent. The rim is absent. So you are seeing more of the sclera there, unlike on the temporal side. And you can even estimate the vertical curvature ratio in very cupped eyes. Then this is another image. This is the image of the right eye of the patient, while the other image is of the left eye of the patient. So this is centered between the macula and the optic disc. So this was captured from the video that I took. So it's better to take video than to just take pictures, so that you can go back and take screenshots of the video. So if you notice, you see that this image is almost round, a little bit elliptical, because of the way the lens is. Usually the one side of the lens will have a shadow, while the other side will be very bright. And if I zoom in into the macula, you can see the hemorrhages, you can see the exudates, you can also see the optic disc clearly. You can zoom in more. So these are things that you can get with smartphone. So what I use in terms of technique that I use, first of all, the lens. I recommend a Pan Retina 2.2. If you don't have it, you can use your 20D, but you can plan to get a Pan Retina 2.2. And the second one is adapter. Adapter is very important because adapter fixes the distance between the lens and the phone. So you only bother about the lens phone distance. So I'm going to share a link with us at the end of this session. I'll share it in YF page. I will also share it in OSN page. So I may not be able to share all the links in this presentation, but through our WhatsApp, I'll share a group that I opened where you can actually ask questions. It's both on WhatsApp and on Telegram, and the name of the group is Smartphone Funded Photography. So we have over 170 members in the group. So if you have challenges, even after this presentation, you can also ask questions. There are several links from several authors, and then I will now give us links of how we can purchase adapters. But there's an adapter that you can make in your own setting. I also give us a link to that do-it-yourself adapter. It uses a system of pipes that are available in the market, and then some glues, and then the casing of phone. So you can have your own adapter that you can use either for street lamp or for hands, just normal indirect ophthalmoscopy. All right, so I'm going to show us one more. Okay, so if I show you this now, you could see that I've applied a mask, a circular mask, to the images I captured. So this circular mask, there are two applications or three applications that you can use. You can use Human Indirect. You can use Adobe Photoshop Express, or you can use another app, M2 Redcam. So I'm just going to show us the Human Indirect, how you can apply the mask. So you see there's a particular place here that is export still. So you click on the export still, then it will open up your store. Sorry, because I found out that iPhone is better than Android. So I'm just using some things that have worked for me and has made life easy for me. So you have the lens factor, you have the adapter factor, you have the phone factor, you have the app factor, then you have the settings. So for the phone factor, an iPhone 6, this is an iPhone 6s that I'm using. That was what I used for my study. Others have also used iPhone 7. I've also used iPhone 8. I don't know how the higher iPhones perform. I've also used iPhone SE, both the old one and the new one. So these are the ones I have personal experience in. I don't have experience for the other iPhones. But basically, you need to have a camera that the camera flash is coaxial with the flash. So I'm just going to show us this is my iPhone. You can see the camera here, then you can see the flash here. So the distance is usually within 1 centimeter or 1.5 centimeter. That's 10 mm to 15 mm. All right, so I'm showing my screen now. I want to rush because I just have like 5 more minutes before I take questions. So you could see the videos. So I'll just select okay, let me select this video. So it shows you this display where you have cancel, you have choose. So you just choose it. The problem that this app has is that it compresses this video. So, and by compressing this video, it's going to make this video to lose quality. So it's one of the things I'm going to raise up with Dr. Michael Ullman. Let's see how we can, not compress this video so that it will retain its quality. So you now move this slider that is below. You are sliding it until you get a very good image that you are comfortable with, right? So when you get to the end of this, you can move it to the left. So the idea is for you to be moving this until you get a view that you're comfortable with, for you to now apply a mask. So let's say, for instance, now that I'm comfortable with this view. So I'll just click on the top right, which is crop. I just click crop on the top right. Then you see that circular mask has showed up. So I'll just drag circular mask over this image. I can zoom it if I want to only focus on the optic disc, on the macula. I can zoom out just by pinching the screen. So I'm just pinching my screen now. So I will leave it at this and then center it like so. Zoom it a little bit so that the whole retina is covered by a circular mask, and then I'll just write choose. Then it will save the image to the store. So if I go to the gallery, I'll see the image. So that's the image. So you can see that it is circular and around it is dark. So this is one of the methods that you can use to apply a circular mask to images. But the downside of this is that it loses some quality because of the compression that you get. But it's still okay. You can still make out some of the regions. You can see the same regions here. All right. Then I'm going to quickly go to another app. So I'll go to Filmic. I'll just quickly go to Filmic. My Filmic has been down for some time, so I hope it will come on in this app. So Filmic Pro is one of the applications. Sorry, let me just a minute. So let me try and load it again. So I just want to quickly show you the settings of Fimi Pro. Fimi Pro was what I used for my part 2, and it also has some of those manual settings like zoom, exposure, and focus. So you see the two you see a circle in the middle and a rectangle in the middle. So down, when you click in the bottom left, you click it, you now see the settings. So on the left is exposure, on the right is focus and zoom. So if I want to focus and the focus is highlighted, I'll just move the rim front and back, so it can focus on what I am viewing. If I want to zoom, I'll click on zoom, and then I will zoom in into the image. I can zoom out. So this is a one-handed control. So the first thing that you do if you're using Fimi Pro is to zoom, so that the edges of the lens will be on both sides of the phone. Then you now change to focus. Then for the ISO, if I increase the ISO, it gets brighter and brighter. If I reduce the ISO, it gets dimmer and dimmer. So I usually operate at midway, somewhere here. But when you start imaging the retina, how you know the appropriate ISO is whether the optic nerve head is overexposed or is underexposed. So once you get a proper exposure of the optic nerve head, then you now leave the exposure. So you are only talking about focus, and the focus, you just make minor adjustments. You don't make over adjustments for the focus. So this is the Fimi Pro. Then last, I want to talk about the last, which is MM2 Red can before. So let me sorry, an Indian office. So if you want to make a new exam, bottom right plus, so you just click the plus, then you fix. My network is connected. Where did you miss me? Hello, can you hear me?
It cut off only very short time. We can hear you now.
Okay. So let me go back and share my iPhone. This is the last part of it before I'll take questions. Okay. So you can see my. All right. So here you can fill in details of the patient. Then you now click on the camera sign. So because of time, I'll just go back to what I've been able to do. So this is just an imaginary patient that I checked. So you could see the image that was captured for the left eye. You could see this for the right eye. This was actually what I imported from the woman indirect to apply a mask to it. So if, for instance, now you want to apply a mask to this, so you just click on the camera, then you go to photo album. But if you want to image on the patient after filling details, you just click on the M2 red cam. So you click on M2 red cam. See, there is autofocus and the mask is already applied. This is one advantage of this app. If you look down, you can see Sorry, I've been having unstable network, but I've changed my connection. So every other discussion is going to take place either on Telegram or on WhatsApp. And then we have more links. And then I share the links to these apps for the Android versions in those in the Telegram group. So if you go to the Telegram group, I may also share it on the YF group if I'm given permission. So you could download these apps straight into your phone and begin to use them. They are going to change the way that you image the retina. So the most important thing is the lens factor, the adapter factor, the phone factor, the application factor, and then the scale of the person that is doing the imaging. So these are the 5 critical factors that I've come to research and find very important. So for the applications, I recommend Woman Indirect, which is both on Android and is on iPhone. The iPhone has more features. For all the apps, the iPhone usually has more features. So I recommend iPhone. This iPhone that I use on my study, I bought it for 80,000 naira, and it was fairly used iPhone, and it's 7. You can also buy iPhone 8, which I recommend. It's better than this because sometimes this will hang. But iPhone 8 is good. A new iPhone 8, because it's an older version of iPhone, you can get it for like 100,000 naira. It's an investment that one can make. When I bought the first iPhone, let me see whether I still have it. Okay, just a minute. When I bought my first iPhone, this is the first iPhone that I started using. So this is an iPhone SE. I bought it in 2017, and it was not cheap. It was almost 200,000 then. So, but now you can get iPhones for as cheap as 60,000, 80,000 naira, and they will serve you very well. If you have 20D, you can use it. Or if you want to step up and get very good images that you can even print, you can also get a Pan Retina 2.2. It costs around $400. So it's something that we need to consider whether we have the means to get it. Then on the WhatsApp groups, I'm going to share different adapters that there are in the market. And then possibly we'll see how we can develop our own adapter so that everyone can have the ability to image the retina and have very good images as beautiful as some of the ones that have showed us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edoga. It was very interesting and it was very enlightening. We'll take questions and comments now. We can share experiences. Some of us have tried this ingenious way. Our challenges, especially practical challenges that we've had, and we've managed to solve these challenges, and what other techniques are there. But personally, Dr. Edoga, thank you very much. I have a question.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
you prefer the pan retina? Thinking that is there any difference? Have you tried the 20D, 28D, and advice you can give maybe in terms of differences, practical differences with the use of different lenses? Why your
Okay.
preference for the 2.2 retinal?
Okay, so when I started off, I started with 20D plus 20D. I've also used plus 22. I've used the plus 30. I've also used plus 40. So if you use plus 20, especially Vogue lens, Vogue has is an aspheric lens. So you have is anti-reflective. So if you are using lenses that are not anti-reflective, you're going to bring in a lot of reflections. And then one thing I didn't add in my presentation is that you must clean your lens, because if the lens has smudges, either because of fingerprint or because of dust, it may also be causing some form of scattering of light, and then it may bring in some things to your image. So plus 20 gives you a magnified image. So you lose out field of view in your plus 20. So it may be difficult for you to see the optic disc and the macula in one setting. Unlike if you are using lenses that have wider field of view, you can see the optic disc, you can see the macula, then you can see temporal to the macula, you can also see nasal to the macula in one shot as the posterior pole. But if you use like plus 28, plus 30, plus 40, the disadvantage is that the optic disc is going to be so small, while the field of view will be much. You may lose detail in let's say you have a micro aneurysm. You may not see it if you are using this wide view lens. So there has to be a balance. So the balance is between 20, 22, 28. So you have considerable magnification, and then you also have considerable field of view, so that you can have roughly around 45, 50 degrees of view per time. Some of the images I showed us, like this image here that I'm showing, if you look at this image, you can see the optic disc, you can see the fovea, you can see nasal to the optic disc, you can also see temporal to the fovea. So this is a posterior pole image, and this is the advantage of this lens. But if you do not have it, you have to use what you have, but you can plan towards getting this hybrid lens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks so much. So we have a question here that you have to put on you turn on the app that you mentioned in the presentation, or once you've downloaded it on your phone, it's enough, and there's no need to turn on the app.
Okay, so for you to use an app, you have to turn on the app, because apps don't work automatically. So the human indirect, you just turn it on, and then the light comes on automatically on its own. Then you either do manual focus or you do autofocus. Me, I prefer to do manual focus. I prefer to do manual exposure. So the first thing I do is to pinch the screen and make sure that the is not overly zoomed, but the edges of the lens are on the two edges of the screen of the phone. That's the first step. Then the second step is to adjust my light. Then when I begin to image the fundus and the retina begins to show, I'll now say, okay, this optic disc is overexposed, underexposed. And I'll adjust the exposure just enough for the optic disc to be visible and not to be overexposed. If you see this screen I'm sharing, you can see that the optic disc is not overexposed. So it's just perfect. You can see the cup, you can see the rim. Then the other one is now, we now begin to adjust the focus. And remember, you have to be recording when you are doing all these things, so that at the end of the recording, you can now go and take screenshots of the clearest and the sharpest image. Then I also wanted to let us know that you need to limit the amount of time you expose the retina. Usually, for people that are starting, make it to be under 1 minute and then allow the patient to rest. But when you begin to gain proficiency, you can actually image the retina under 20 seconds. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a very great session. Do we have any questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Doctor. Actually, very impactful, very practical. It's a worthy skill transfer session to attend. I remember using Ullman Indirect in the past. I found the peak retina to be easier to use to some of those applications. Do you have any experience using peak retina? What's your...
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Baturi. I've used Peak, the adapter itself. Are you talking about the app for the
No, the peak retina adapter.
Okay, adapter. Yes. So I've used the Peak Retina. It has a limited field of view. I think it has about 9 to 12 degrees, if I'm not mistaken. So it's good to image, let's say, the optic disc alone, and then a little bit nasal and temporal to the optic disc, assuming you want to make a diagnosis related to optic disc. If you want to make a diagnosis related to the macula, is also good for that. But for you to have this type of retina imaging where you have the optic disc, you have the fovea, and then you have a little bit temporal and nasal to these features, you will not be able to get it with that adapter. And I also want to say that Speak Eye is direct ophthalmoscopy. It's a clip-on direct ophthalmoscope, so it's not indirect. So it doesn't use the optics of an indirect lens like a plus 20D. So I used it. It did not serve me, but that part 2 West Africa neurosurgery study that I mentioned in this presentation was Peak Eye that was used, and it served him. He was able to image the optic disc in patients with head injury. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that can image the retina very well and capture these features, and you're able to do dynamic imaging by asking the patient to look up, to look down, to look to the right, to look to the left. And then if you're looking for a peripheral lesion, I've captured the lattice degenerations, I've captured retinal breaks, I've captured retinal tears. So you can now image the retina and ask the patient to look very far down, depending on which side you want to image. Then most importantly, what we are trying to do is to see how we can make this technique to be so easy that even a primary healthcare worker can actually do it. So it's one of the things I intend to do with some of my teachers and some of my colleagues. And it's going to be very interesting how we can standardize this technique and make it available and easy to apply, and then the learning curve to be reduced. Some of the images I've sent to some manufacturers, they are usually impressed. So they wonder how these images were gotten. And it's a mixture of some of these factors that I've mentioned. So Peak Eye is good, but is limited is easy, but it's limited. Thank you, Dr. Bature.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edoga. Okay, I think we don't have any other questions or comments. We can round off. Dr. Bature.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Dr. Edoga. What's honest enough to appreciate your kind contribution to the Young Ophthalmology Academic Fortnight session. We had you on 2 occasions on this same topic, and I believe YOs have significantly benefited from the skill transfer that you have. And the videos are going to be online on our YouTube page. People can always refer to them. Something that for life will benefit young ophthalmologists and people seeking. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and we're proud of the work you do. Thank you everyone for joining us this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.